Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Chester. You know what I like to do on my show. I want to enlighten you. I want to inspire you. I want to empower you to become your best self. Now, Scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And today we want to get you fired up about our music guest, Tedi Brunetti. The name of her project is the Queen of Pittsburgh. So you know what I'm going to tell you to do. Go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea because we are...
Hi, Dr. Angela. It's so much fun to be with you today. I know you usually have authors, and I feel privileged to be one of your music guests.
Well, thank you. And we do not have a lot of music guests, but I am such a music lover that I just have to have, someone on that's going to add a little bit of pizzazz to our day. Books are great, don't get me wrong, but I think that music is its own language. So thank you so much for coming on and adding a little bit of pizzazz to the week. Now, with that being said, I have to ask, there may be some folks out there that are unfamiliar with you or your project. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What makes you you?
Well, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm a grandma, all right? I've been doing music well over 50 years now. And I took a break in the middle to raise kids. I've lived my life in stages, okay? And so I sing and I write and I play the drums, and which is unusual for a woman of my age, okay? Because actually, when I first asked to play the drums when I was a little girl, my parents said no because it was they thought it was a boy's instrument. So my first instrument was guitar because that was acceptable. And so that served me well. God had a plan for me, because that's how I write my music, is on guitar. And I've been writing songs since I was 11 years old. So, I've been at it a while. I'm 69 today. And so I have a new music project. My husband's my lead guitar player. I was able to have a few sisters sing background vocals.
Now, when did you realize that music was a real important part in your life? And I'm so glad, a little side note, I'm so glad that your parents, at least, they let you get involved in music. Some parents think that music is a waste of time and it's like, do something real. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that you were involved in music. But how old were you when you realized that this is really what I want to do in life? Like, this really has a calling.
Yes, I mean, I was around 11 years old, and I had the only way I can describe it as a spiritual experience. I was at a girlfriend's birthday party, and she had an older sister who had a little Victrola record player, and they put on this 45 RPM single, and it was the Kingsmen, Brother Louie. And I was across the room, and the drums on that song are bombastic, okay? And it shot through me like a shot of lightning. And I was possessed, and I ran to that record player, and I kept playing that single over and over again. And I just knew in those moments that this is what you do. You're a musician. Mind you, I'd never played a musical instrument before, all right? I was just a kid. I was 11 years old. And I thought, this is what you do. You're a musician. You're a drummer. And this is what you're going to do with your life. I mean, I knew it. Somewhere it touched me deep in my soul. And I just knew I was possessed. And so music chose me. I didn't choose it.
I like that though. It is so funny, and I really like asking that question because to hear someone's backstory. So it's one thing to know all of the really great stuff that they've done along the way. Like, oh my goodness, I've purchased the first album that ever came out. All of that's great, and like super fan. I love it. But sometimes it's those moments when we're kids or teenagers even, where someone will say, oh yeah, you could see the spark. You could see that this was going to be something that was going to be a part of her life. So I love it. I love it. Now, as an adult, was there a moment where you realized that that music has the potential to be so much more than just something that, you turn it on in the kitchen so that you have entertainment while you're washing the dishes, or, like it's more road trip. Well, did you ever have an epiphany where you realized the gravity that music holds, the power that it holds?
I like your term gravity. Yes, music has always had that gravity with me. And in my adult life, where I'll tell you when it really hit me the hardest is when I found the need. We were in New York City. I had a band in New York. I played with different acts in New York, and I'm from Pittsburgh. Okay, so we've moved to New York City, and we lived there almost 20 years. Both my sons are native New Yorkers, our sons. And when I knew I had to give music up for a time, all right, to devote to my family life, to my children, to take care of my kids properly, and moved back to Pittsburgh so they would get to know their family. I'm from a big Italian family. I'm the oldest of 10 kids. And giving it up, having to give it up for a while. And I gave it up for almost 20 years. I came back to Pittsburgh and I went back to school for ultrasound. So I've done the yin and yang of sound. I did echocardiograms and vascular ultrasound for 20 years. And that way, and in that way I was able to help my husband, who became an auditor, a tax auditor. We became the people we used to make fun of, and raise his kids so they could have a nice life, because the music business is tough. And New York had gotten cost prohibitive and what have you. So we wanted our kids to have the kind of upbringing that we had had, and we wanted to be fair to them.
Right. Right, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And so giving it up then, I cried for 3 years, I got to tell you. It was rough. Because when I hear music, even to this day, when music's playing, it's me. Okay?
Yeah.
It's me singing those songs. I wish I was Mariah Carey, but if there's a Mariah Carey song on there, I wish I could sing like her anyhow. That's me singing. That's me playing the drums. That's me playing the guitar. That's me playing all the instruments I can't even play, It just resonates with me on.
No, I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you. I have been bitten by the music bug. I have loved music since I can remember. My father loves music, and because of that, he introduced me to all types of music. And I think in that, he allowed me or gave me permission to express myself in music, to not feel locked in or that I had to listen to a particular sound or a particular group, but that there was beauty in all expression. So I absolutely understand what you mean, because I've passed that on, to my son. It's like, you better be able to, listen to this jazz and let it all melt away, but you better be able to, listen to this country and tell this song, but also, listen to some love music and be able to, censor yourself. So absolutely, I totally and completely agree with you there. Now, you mentioned that you are from Pittsburgh, so I have to ask, the title of your new album, The Queen of Pittsburgh. Tell us about how you came about the title.
Well, this wasn't my title. This was my producer, Dean Allen Sargent's title, okay? He produced my first solo album in New York City like 35 years ago. So we did this album together too. So it's been like a family thing. And Dean and his partner, Michael Hennigan, my other producer, they were first called recording engineers in New York City back in the day. So they've been on a lot of big recording sessions. So they know their stuff. So I was blessed that I ran into him again, and he was willing to take up my project. But so we were doing pre-production work. He lives in the Poconos now, which is 6 hours out of Pittsburgh. So they made a trip to Pittsburgh, and we were gathering material for the album, and we knew we needed to write. And I live like a rock star. I have a loft in the Strip District of Pittsburgh. We overlook the city. I have a wonderful city view, and we took him around and showed him the town. And on his way back to the Poconos, I get a phone call on his drive back, and he says, "Okay, I have a song idea. It's called The Queen of Pittsburgh." And I thought, uh-oh, here comes the hate, all right? Because I thought people are going to hate this one. You know, she thinks she's the Queen of Pittsburgh. But now that the album's out, people can listen to the song. And I'm not at all saying I'm the Queen of Pittsburgh. What the sentiment in the song is, the line is, I'm not going to stop kicking ass until they make me the Queen of Pittsburgh. So, you know, that's what the song is about. I'm not really saying, but if somebody needs to be the Queen of Pittsburgh, I guess it could be me.
Yeah.
I love my city.
I love it.
So we wrote that song together, you know, and it's a great song actually. And like our son James, there's a father and son guitar solo in the middle of the song, which is just awesome, you know. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, that was one of the things about this album that was great for me, is that I got to do a few things that I had been thinking about for a lot of years, like having a few of my sisters on it, and our son, you know, and of course my husband's the lead guitar player, so.
Right. Yeah. Which leads me to my next question, and thank you so much for setting it up that way. I was going to ask, how does your family feel about you being in music, or how have they been able to contribute? I know that, of course, with the pandemic and all that, touring and all of that has kind of slowed a little bit, or you've had to become creative and do like Zoom concerts and all of that. But how has your family been involved, and how do they show support, especially now that we've had to change how we do many of the things that we were used to doing?
Well, you know, my family's very arts oriented. My parents were actors, and my life paralleled theirs. My mom passed away a few years ago, but my dad's 93. He still has an actor's equity card. So they went to New York City and tried to make it as actors, and then World War II came and things happened, and they decided to have a family and moved back to Pittsburgh to have their family. And then in their retirement, they went back to acting, and they did movies and a lot of local theater and a lot of TV commercials and voiceovers and things like that. So they were very supportive of any arts thing. I have a brother who's a few years younger than me that was a child prodigy classical pianist, and he's a big vocal coach today in Manhattan, and he's had a wonderful career. His name is Tedi Brunetti. He wrote a book called Acting Songs, which a lot of high schools and colleges all over the country use as a textbook. And I think he's in Denmark right now teaching. So he travels all over. They have him. He's been very successful. I have another brother, my brother Ted. I have a brother with the same name as me. And he was Frankie Coffee Cake in A Bronx Tale on Broadway. So, my family, we're about the arts and we're about medicine. I have pharmacists and nurses and, but everybody sings. And there was always, we were always around the piano with my brother with his wonderful piano playing, singing, on.
And that makes a world of difference. You are so right. That makes a world of difference. I remember as a little kid going to my grandmother's house for Christmas, and we could not wait until my aunt would arrive, and she would play on the piano. We would sing all of the Christmas songs and having that moment, and that was a request that my dad had, that we all be musically inclined. So I must admit, all of my brothers and sisters, and even a few of my first cousins, that was a gift, if you will, that our parents gave us. Is here is the ability to create your own music, and how important that is. So you are so right. Plus, it also has great memories. You create great memories that way, and I love it. I love it. Well, Teddy, it is time for us to go to break. But before we do, can you remind everyone, please, what is the title of your new album? Where can we get a copy? And, of course, how do we stay in contact with you?
My new album is The Queen of Pittsburgh, and you can get it at a copy of the CD at TediBrunetti.com. That's TediBrunetti.com. And there you'll find all the links to my social media, Spotify, and the like, where you can find this music.
Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get this new music. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Butch-Chester. My guest today is Tedi Brunetti, and we're talking about her new album, The Queen of Pittsburgh. I love that title. Well, Tedi, my next question for you is kind of a little disclaimer. We understand that the pandemic has affected everything that we have done over the past year and a half, 2 years, and probably the next even 6 months, even that's moving forward. With that being said, how much do you enjoy the live performance versus recording in studio? What is your favorite thing, if you have a favorite, or are they each kind of special in their own right?
Well, they are special in their own way, and and I love performing live, but it's at this point in my career, my band is located all over the country now. I have our keyboard players in New York City, my bass player and second guitar player, who are my producers now, because after we started this project, they said, we want to be in the band. I said, okay. So they're 6 hours away from me in the Poconos. And with, like you say, the pandemic, things are so up in the air. It's hard to book anything, and Pittsburgh isn't a city that's big enough to support an original act. Okay, I'm not a cover band. I don't do cover material. So I have 2 albums of original material. So I want to do mini tours when I do perform live again, and that's probably going to be next year sometime. Hopefully, we'll get through this pandemic and things will settle down in a year. But I love the process of recording. I love writing the songs. I get such a charge out of coming up with something clever, or something that sounds cool to me, and then I like arranging the songs, and I like going into the studio. I love working in the studio because you're under a microscope and there's pressure there. You have to perform, and and I have great people to work with. That's another thing, so that makes it easier. But I love developing my music that way. And I call myself a recording artist because I think the recordings themselves are a piece of art. It's the way we record them. It's the way we arrange them. It's the production. It's everything about it, the way it's mixed, the way, the sound, our whole process. Because my band is real people playing real instruments, old school, kind of bluesy roots. And we wanted it to sound like real people. We wanted it to sound organic. And we achieved that. And so I like it all, but what I really like is something that's new to me, and that's making the videos. I have a wonderful film production team, DMHAC. They're these young men from, they went to Rutgers University. They graduated Rutgers University Film School. So they're bona fide filmmakers. And if you've happened to get a chance, the Tedi Brunetti official YouTube channel, we won an award in Sweden from a Swedish film festival, film award. They had a music video category, and my video won the video for Evil Woman. And we're in the midst of editing the second video now, but learning about that whole production technique and the visual thing has been educational. And it's a lot of fun. It's a different creative thing. When things that you visualize can become a reality.
Absolutely.
It's really. So I'm into these videos now.
Right. I tell you, the pandemic has really opened it all up, and it has really caused people to tap more into their creative side. You are definitely right. And we do have to learn how to roll with the punches. We realize that, Stevie Nicks has just recently canceled all of her, the remainder of her tours, even though she said I wasn't going to a lot of places, but I have to be, I have to be safety conscious. I have to be mindful that this is nothing to play with, and you want to be responsible. So I can definitely understand that. And I'm so glad that people are being creative, the videos, the Zoom concerts, and all of those types of things. Absolutely. I love it. Now, you mentioned your latest single, Evil Woman. What has been the reaction to that release?
Well, I'm surprised and I'm not surprised. I mean, I know I love it, and I think it was great, even before it came out. But we've gotten such a positive response to it, and the video. I have almost 16,000 views now on the video, which it's very hard. I'm learning this as we go along because like I said, I'm 69 years old. I'm not a 20-year-old doing this YouTube stuff. It's very hard to get views when you only have one video out, They want content. So we're working on that. There's things to look forward to. I have a whole team now of people helping me with all this stuff. But, it's done really well. I have, it had almost 60,000 streams on Spotify in the first couple months. And, I'm going from ground zero, really. Nobody knows who I am. And, people, they're playing it on the radio here in Pittsburgh, and it's nice. I mean, gotten a lot of favorable reviews. All the reviews have been great. Everybody's, I'm getting supported, and what else do you want? I couldn't ask for more, It little by little, it's growing. Yeah.
And you're so right. We do have to realize that media is consumed a little bit differently in this generation than in years past, where you knew that there was a season, that there was a particular time frame where new shows would be on or music would be released, and then there was a break, and you understood that those were kind of the rules. And nowadays it is a little bit different. And I know that I am of that age where it's kind of I have one foot or one toe in old school and one toe in new school, and it's just learning to kind of keep the balance and figure out, okay, I need to do this, and you need to be very current with this particular thing. Like Instagram, it's like, oh yeah, you got to post all the time. And I've had other artists say that as well, and it's like, I don't want to post all the time. I don't have anything to say. And it's like, are you kidding? I love Instagram. I post on Instagram all the time. So it's really funny. You do have to find what platform really works for you, and where is your audience. But congratulations on the views and the plays that you do have. All of that counts.
Right.
So definitely keep moving in that direction. Now, the next question I have for you is about the things that you have accomplished in life. And I know that for many people, I had an author on the other day that said, well, Dr. Angela, I never thought I would be an author, but here I am at 90, releasing a book. Who knew? Mm-hmm. So we can never give up until we're gone, right? So with that being said, what are some of the greatest things that you feel you have accomplished within your life? And flip side of the coin, what are some things that you hope to do in the upcoming years? And I know, again, we're still trying to figure out where we going to even be, at the beginning of the year of 2022. But if everything goes well, right? Let's pray that finally goes well. Where do you hope to be in the future?
Well, I've had such a full life, and like I said before, I've lived my life in stages, and I had a very nice career in New York City when I was there in the 70s and 80s. It was a wonderful time to be in New York. There was a large, starving artist community, and I was able to play in some wonderful acts. The B-Girls, who toured with The Clash. I was able to go into the studio with Mick Jones from The Clash producing, and he produced one of my songs because I wrote for that band, the B-Girls. I played with Carol McDonald and Witch, and she had a band called Isis. She was an Atlantic recording artist, and wonderful horn band, 10-piece band, and I was the first band I was in that we got on airplanes to fly to our gigs. We played big festivals all over the country, and that was quite an experience. So I had a successful time in New York City, and then I had the motherhood stage where we had our two sons. We came back to Pittsburgh. I went back to school for ultrasound, and I graduated at the top of my class because I didn't have a choice. I couldn't do it over again. I was in my late 30s when I went back to school again, back to college. I had been a music major right out of high school for a few years and dropped out and went on the road and, ended up in New York City with my husband. But, I went back to school in my late 30s and had a very, successful ultrasound career. And I did just about everything you can do in that career. I was a temp. I worked in hospitals. I did mobile ultrasound. I went into nursing homes and did tests on people. So, and then I worked in a doctor's office, and I was the technical director for a big cardiology practice here in Pittsburgh. And retired from that, got back into music again, and we put together a little blues band, just, a cover band to see if we even wanted to do it again. And I started writing and decided to do another album, and things just snowballed, and we made the album for our grandkids. All right? We wanted our grandkids to know Grandma and Grandpa were cool once. So that was the idea behind this Queen of Pittsburgh album. And, and that was the purpose of it originally. Mm-hmm. But it turned out so good that bigger producers and bigger people, record company people, things like that, just gave us so much encouragement. Tommy Uzo, he passed away in the middle of the pandemic there, not from COVID, but Mm-hmm. He's a who's who recording engineer in New York City and a friend of Dino's, my producer. And he mixed Eat, Sleep, Repeat. And he was supposed to mix the song Queen of Pittsburgh. He started, and then he got very ill and passed away. But my music was the last thing he worked on, and he's legendary. If you look him up, Tommy Uzzo, UZO. He did a lot of rap artists. I mean, he produced Mary J. Blige. He's worked on. He's worked Christina.
Yeah, I mean, he's really famous. Absolutely. People, you said the name. Yeah, people know exactly who you're talking about. He's absolutely famous.
Yeah, Grammys. I mean, he has a Grammy, I guess. Grammys. So how great is that?
That is awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's always amazing when we can have those people that have learned to hone their craft and they have touched our lives and they've sprinkled their positivity and their wisdom into our garden, and we're able to watch it grow into the wonderful gifts that we have been given. I love it. I love it. Now we have about 2 minutes left, but I wanted to ask this one last question about your album, and that is if there's anything else that you want for anyone who picks up a copy, listens to it from song 1 to song last, what is the overarching thing that you want for someone to grasp having listened to The Queen of Pittsburgh?
Well, I hope the album takes them on a little journey and that they find some humor in it, because I write with my sense of humor out front. And I hope they like it enough to get in touch with me. And that's one of the wonderful things about this music career this time around, is that I'm getting to meet wonderful people like Dr. Angela and interview with all these different people and meet all my supporters. And I'm online and all the social media sites and, comments or DM me or whatever. I love meeting people. You don't want to be caught in an elevator with me. I'm going to talk to you. So I talk to everyone, and I love people, and I love connecting with people. So I hope people like it enough that they want to tell me what they think,
And, I tell everyone that, God gives us the personalities that he gives us for a reason. I remember being a little kid and just getting up and doing me. And, some people going, oh my goodness, you could tell they were going, when is this little girl going to sit down? She's singing or doing whatever, or she's playing her instrument, and it's like, have a seat, honey, but then, later on in life, I remember talking to my mom and I just said, see, God gave me this personality for a reason. Who knew I was ultimately going to be, on radio? I didn't know when I was 16. I knew when I was 16 that I wanted to be in ministry. I knew that part. The radio was an answer to a prayer much later on in my life. So it's like, God knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that we need to have the personalities that we have because we need to be able to do whatever it is that we have been called to do. So I love it. Don't stop being you. Well, Tedi Brunetti, we are out of time. But before I let you go, can you please remind everyone what is the title of your newest album? Where can we get a copy? And again, how do we stay in contact with you?
Again, the title of my album is The Queen of Pittsburgh, and you can get it at tedibrunetti.com, my website, tedibrunetti.com. Just Google me up, go to the website. There's links to all the social media things that I'm on, which is all of them, I think, and Spotify, all the streaming platforms, and, iTunes, wherever you buy music, you can find it.
Alrighty. Thank you again for being a guest on the show.
It was my pleasure, and it was such a joy talking with you, Dr. Angela, and I appreciate your work.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate yours as well. And listeners, thank you guys for spending some time with us here today. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend it with us, and I appreciate that. I hope that we have enlightened, inspired, and empowered you again today. As always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone.